Like to call to order the regular January meeting of the Wyoming Valley West School District on Wednesday, January 11th. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski,
Here.
Mr. Damascus,
Here.
Mr. Hardwick,
Here.
Mr. Keating,
Here.
Mr. Savage,
Here.
Mr. Perfetto,
Here.
Mr. Majer, Mrs. Cassatt. Here. Mr. Kamis.
Here. Can we stand for a moment of silence followed by a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Student representatives, Maddie Chaco and Katie Stewart, please.
Mercedes Bocaro, Rebecca Brody, Dorian Hoffman, and Catherine Stewart were selected by faculty as seniors of the month for the month of January. The students will be honored at a breakfast with the faculty guest of their choosing. They will receive a certificate from administration, and their photograph will be featured in the local newspapers and on the high school webpage. Congratulations, seniors. The winter chorus concert was held at the high school on Saturday, January 7th. WVW girls basketball coach Gary Ferenchek hit a major milestone as only the third girls basketball coach in Wyoming Valley West history to record 100 career wins. Ferenchek has been coaching at Wyoming Valley West since 2016-2017 season, making this his 8th year. In 2022-2023 season, the season's record is 8-3. He recorded his 100th win against Berwick on January 9th with a score of 47-37. Brighter Financial Futures is proud to announce that Daniel Stavish of Wyoming Valley West School District, who worked under the leadership of Thomas Cunningham, was a winner in the state competition. The competitions are held in the classroom both countrywide and statewide. Daniel finished in first place for Luzerne County and placed 10th in the statewide competition in the high school division. The high school is thrilled to announce 31 students who are representing Wyoming Valley West at district chorus this week under the leadership of Mr. Justin Davis. Wyoming Valley West has the largest number of students qualifying to participate at districts. The students are as follows: Braden Bogdan, Jessica Zuba, Reagan Suzuki, Grayson Frazier, Cassandra Gobush, Chris Hargett, George Hebda, Luke Hoffman, Amelia Hoffman, Damon Iraqi, Dahlia Kane, Dylan Kahachik, Haley King, Ava Leary, David Longfoot, Jade McKenna, John McLaughlin, Nevaeh Meisinger, Jacob Navraki, Gloria Fanella, Murphy Pick, Serena Rowe, Maxwell Saporito, Aiden Slacky, Cassie Stockla, Heath Stockla, Antonio Torres, and Zachary Warman. Congratulations to these students chosen by PMEA. Turn to page A2 of the Citizens Voice today to see junior student Ella Karvosky published as a newspaper and education student columnist. The Citizens Voice publishes a newspaper and education page every Wednesday during the school year on which a student columnist from each of the local high schools writes a guest column. The student's column appears simultaneously on the Citizens Voice website, citizensvoice.com, and on the Facebook page. The page offers student columnists a unique opportunity to experience firsthand what it is like to write for a daily publication, as well as an opportunity to build their resumes for college. Students from the high school life skills classes help to sort and box food for the Commission on Economic Opportunity today from 9 to 12. They learn the concept of the assembly line, teamwork, and organization. Over 240 boxes were filled. The winter wave of the Keystone exam testing will conclude on Friday, January 13th. Subjects tested included biology, literature, and algebra 1. The district will be closed on Monday, January 16th in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Seniors will have their first graduation activity on the school year and on Thursday, January 19th for caps and gowns. Tuesday, January 24th is a club day. The second marking period / first semester will end on Friday, January 27th. This is also an Act 80 day with an early dismissal for students.
Thank you both very much. Superintendent's comments, Mr. Tosh.
Thank you, Mr. Camus. I'd like to thank the girls. You took all my lines, so I don't have to do anything tonight. I can kick back. Just to reinforce a couple of things that were said, a look at January's calendar for planning purposes. As said, Monday, January 16th, schools closed in observance of Martin Luther King's holiday. Also, Friday, January 27th is an Act 80 day with an early dismissal. And I did mention on Sunday night's robocall that the calendar has been revised. We will be using February 17th as a makeup day. And again, it's a half day in place of the December 23rd closure. Mrs. Carey reports at the high school. And again, it was mentioned, Daniel Stavish, congratulations. First place in the Fidelity Bank Fall Semester Stock Market Challenge. And also congratulations to girls basketball coach Gary Ferenchek, winning his 100th game. As mentioned, only the third girls basketball coach in Wyoming Valley West history to reach that milestone. At State Street, Mr. Needle reports the Rotary Club of Kingston recently donated $1,200 worth of clothing to the Spartan Closet at State Street Elementary School. Items donated included coats, pants, shirts, hoodies, socks for boys and girls in various sizes. And a big thank you to Mrs. Bobolic for spearheading that drive. Mr. Needle also did report that on the playground at State Street Elementary School, a communication station was made with the intent to allow all children the opportunity to communicate during recess. The pictures were selected to allow students to point to different pictures to communicate with friends and teachers. The communication board allows students to be able to express their needs so that they're understood by the teachers, providing all students the opportunity to communicate with others, regardless of their communication abilities, was very important when creating this board. The students are already utilizing the board and are excited about, quote, talking with their friends. And a big thank you to speech teacher, Miss Blaker, for providing that information. At Dana Street, Mr. DePrimo reports that Dana Elementary was able to support 39 economically disadvantaged families for Christmas through monetary and tangible donations from faculty, students, and PTO members and community stakeholders. We would like to thank everyone for their generous contributions. And finally, just an announcement regarding our security. I know Mr. Dickton at some point will probably mention it, but we're thrilled and very thankful to the board that we do now have a full-time SRO, school resource officer, here at the high school, at the middle school and the high school, as we did. But in addition, we have 2 security officers from Curley Security Agency at both the high school and the middle school. And from speaking to the principals at both buildings, Mr. Bond and Mrs. Carey, they said there has been a marked, noticeable improvement. They're thrilled that the board has reached out and allocated these resources so that we can have a better, more safe and secure environment. So thank you very much to the board. Thank you, Mr. Camus.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh. Prior to this meeting, I would like to announce that there was an executive session held to discuss personnel items and some contract issues. Statements from interested citizens. Stephanie, please pardon me. Darfanel? Sorry if I hacked your name. I apologize.
Hi, everyone. Stephanie Orfanella, Kingston, Pennsylvania. First of all, thank you for all your service. I do respect you greatly and all that you do for the district. I know it's not an easy job, so thank you for the time you put in. I wanted to also ask a couple questions. First question was the boys volleyball coach. Was there one hired? I don't see it on the agenda for the spring season.
To the best of my knowledge.
That's, Stephanie, that's going to be posted. I've been in contact with Mr. Gill with it, and that's going to be taken care of.
So how does that get advertised? Like, when you say posted, are you saying the position will be posted or that the actual?
We would post it in the school. to see if any employee is interested in it, and then we'll go outside of the building if
And-
no applicants.
And when you do outside, because I'm asking this question because of the girls volleyball position as well. It seemed that there's a little trend to almost, it seems like it's waiting to the last minute for these. It's a few things, not just the girls volleyball coach, which started two weeks before the season last year. Was it before the first game? I think she started pretty late. The hiring was late. The girls didn't get any kind of preseason because they didn't even know if they were going to have a coach. And I was concerned that the boys might have that situation. In addition, and this is kind of talking to that point of where are these things posted and for how long in advance, the musical director position. I understand last year there were complaints and it was seemingly heard and discussion was had and we were reassured that this wouldn't be the same situation again this year. And then it seems that the situation's the same again this year. And I was surprised because we had candidates that we spoke to that applied for the job. And I understand that the applications they put in were last spring, but then they never knew what was going to happen. I guess they didn't know about the jobs that the spring musical, when exactly they would hear that it would be hired. And since they didn't get the opportunity to know about it until it was too late, because when it comes to theater, there's a lot of preparation that has to take place with getting rights to the musical and then hiring musicians for the pit if necessary, and hiring, the rest of your staff, the people that set up the set and all the other ancillary positions. So with all those things that happen, my husband's a teacher in another school district. They start that hiring process in the fall for the spring musical. And I was very surprised that it took until like 2 days ago to find out that we finally did have someone. And also that the candidates that seem to be more, I can't think of the word, adept, I guess, more capable, more experienced. Those candidates are no longer available to take the position because it seemed that it waited too long. So that's what I was wondering. How do we know, how would I see this position posted? Where would I see it posted?
Last year, that position was posted at the high school as we do internally to start. It was posted, my understanding, May 4th to May 10th. And 3 candidates, as you mentioned, 3 candidates were interested. From talking to Mrs. Carey, 2 of the candidates ended up backing out. And that's how we ended up with 1 candidate. And traditionally, what we'll do is we'll post that in the fall. And as you mentioned, or I'm sorry, the spring, as you mentioned, because of the securing and purchasing the rights to it, that's when we do it usually the year before. We talked about it today, Mrs. Carey and I, about maybe taking a look at it next year and reevaluating it. But that's the way it was done last year. And there were a number of situations that we were dealing with, obviously, last year. So that, if it was a little bit later this year, the interviews were done, but we were down to 1 candidate. I know Mrs. Carey had reached out to members of the community and some past members who did took part in the musical to see if they were interested, and they didn't have any interest.
So the position was posted internally and then where? Because you got applicants from the outside. So how did they find it?
Yeah, I think it was probably after we posted it internally, to be honest with you. I'm not sure of that. I think it was probably word of mouth at that point.
And then
But
same,
that's something we're going to reevaluate.
and how about for those volleyball coach positions? How does one in the community?
Volleyball
find
will
that?
go internally, and then
Yes.
we'll go out to the newspapers with it. Mr. Dickton has, in addition to the 37 other things he's doing in the district, he has been updating our Facebook page anytime we have openings there, trying to keep up on that too.
Okay,
And traditionally, we look at Indeed, we'll go with the Pennsylvania School Board Association and the local papers, to try and get the message out.
okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, and then if I have a minute, I'd like to also ask about the Kappa program. That's the way I understand it's similar to how we do our career technical school, that there's partial days study at the school and then partial day at Kappa, which is the Wilkes-Barre Drama Performing Arts, like a supplement school. or I'm probably not using the right terms, but you all know about Kappa, right? Most of you know about Kappa. So that, I guess our district doesn't participate, but I know there's plenty of other districts that do. My daughter's looking to be, she's a junior this year and she wants to go to performing arts. She wants to go into college for musical theater, and we need opportunities, and we're not getting opportunities here at Valley West. If this is how it will be in the spring, we have to reevaluate what we're doing to help her future. And we didn't want to do that. We were hoping to be able to stay. She wants to stay at Valley West, but she's not able to get what she needs to prepare for her future. So if Kappa was an option, then she could still stay at Valley West and participate in their musical theater programs if she had that opportunity. I'm not sure why our district doesn't allow for that. It doesn't even seem to be any financial burden whatsoever, and that's usually the motivator. But why is that not allowed?
It is a cost for that. It is definitely a cost for that.
I was told that the Wilkes-Barre Area District has waived their fees for this particular, I know that Andrew Simmers has applied in the past and gotten accepted and got told that their fees to the Valley West District would be waived. So if they're waived, is that all that it takes to get out the permission to have our child go? Because you won't have to transport them.
Mr. Tosh, could you potentially look into that?
Absolutely.
Report back to the board for work
Yep.
session.
I
It's
appreciate-
something we could reevaluate, we could
Yeah.
look into. I mean, I was not present the last time it was brought out. I do know a little bit about it, but we could definitely revisit it again.
Okay, I appreciate that. It's important to us and so important that it would cause us to have to leave and go to another like private school if we had to, in order to participate in a program that has experienced and qualified, that's the word I was looking for before, directors for programs. So thank you.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the reorganization meeting of December 14th and
So moved.
the regular December meeting of December 14th, 2022?
So moved.
That was all the public comments? There was only one sign.
Second.
So we're asking you to sign in, Mr. Baldwin, like we discussed this last meeting. So as part of the board, like that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to accomplish. I mean, I don't know if you want to just not listen or we asked you to kindly sign in last month.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
Okay. So I understand you want to have people sign in for a public comment session. I asked at the last meeting that the board maybe take a vote on that and maybe explain to the public why it's necessary to have to sign in at a public meeting, because you might show up at a meeting and you might not know you want to speak and you just moved from one person that had a comment. What if somebody has a follow-up comment to what was just said? You didn't even offer the audience, the public, an opportunity to make any comments on that. I think that goes against the idea of a public meeting. It's a public meeting. There should be a dialogue, a back and forth between our public servants and the public. And I think it's being the fact that there's so few people that even come and speak at these meetings. I don't understand the necessity. And I, as a member of the public, would be interested to know why you feel it necessary to have people sign in at this venture.
Contrary to your point, you do come and speak and we do have an open dialogue here. You're doing it right now. We did ask you to sign in last month. I'm asking you to do it again going forward. I truly believe that it's organization and keeping things moving and coming and where you're from. It helps Jen with the minutes. It's just something that's organized. Something the solicitor and I discussed.
Right, like I said, but there's people that show up at the meeting late. So people work late. They can't get here at exactly 7 o'clock. So what about those people? So again, I think it's a hindrance. It's something that has the possibility to take away from our First Amendment right to free speech. And I think that should be taken into consideration when you're saying that you want people to sign in, but not everybody's going to get here on time to even have that opportunity.
We also have to maintain structure too. Okay, you can't have a free for all where people could show up whenever they want, walk up and comment. It'd be very disruptive. Nothing would get accomplished. There's a purpose for this organization. And the purpose is to give you an opportunity to engage with us to dialogue on agenda related items or anything you wish to speak about prior to us deliberating and voting. So that's not a good argument to me. I mean, anyone is welcome to speak here. Everything's advertised. These are open public meetings. You have an opportunity to be heard on everything, but organization is equally as important.
I appreciate that response, and I understand the necessity to organization. And I think that up until just a month ago when that was mentioned, I didn't personally see, I've been at these meetings for well over a year, and I have not seen any disorganization in the public comment section. So I just asked if there could be some type of explanation to the public as to why the necessity to make that change. And as I mentioned last time, it's very difficult for some people to even come up and publicly speak, and to have that extra hindrance. I just think I don't understand for as few people that do come to these meetings and actually speak, why have that extra thing if it's not necessary? And again, like my biggest concern too is someone may show up at the meeting and they say, oh, wait, I didn't sign in, so I can't come up and speak. They might not have the courage to jump up and say, I'm sorry, I wanted to make a comment on something that you said, or I have a question about something you said.
But again, if you were in a meeting at work, you can't just interject at any time. There's a time when people are asked to speak, to keep a free flow of communication. We can't have people just show up and run up and comment whenever they want. That would be a disruptive meeting. There's a purpose. Even the way the Sunshine Law was written, there's a reason that public comment comes before anything else on the agenda, so you can engage, so you can dialogue.
Right, but what's the difference between just asking members of the public if they have a comment to come up? And I don't, was there something disruptive about it?
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
From my perspective, this is very simple. One is we're trying to, it may be a little different, but we're trying to do things more transparent and more organized. So doing a sign-in sheet, and I'm happy to be on another board or two, it's a very common practice. It does help with record keeping as well as tie-ins after the meeting. So the board decided to go forward with it. I would suggest to anybody, if you believe and you're here by the meeting time, if you think you may want to comment, sign up. And if you don't have a comment, then you just say, I remove my opportunity to comment. I would also say, I would be willing to bet that the chair would entertain somebody if they said, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I got here late, but I do have an important comment. I would be willing to bet that Mr. Camus would not deny you the opportunity to speak like he's done tonight. So all we're asking is a little bit of give and take. If we want it and feel something's necessary, let's all try to work with it and make it work.
Can I just ask that the board make a statement to say that if someone does show up, that you would not deny someone the right to speak at this public meeting? If somebody did show up late or something,
I don't know what more to say.
We absolutely just addressed it. There's difference of opinions up here. We differ from your opinion. It's just what it is.
right, again, I'm just saying it's the First Amendment, the highest law in the land. So
We've never stopped public comment. Never. So do not say that I'm infringing upon your First Amendment right. Do not say that.
You allowed me to speak tonight. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's,
Do not say I'm infringing upon your First Amendment right, because that's not true, nor have I ever done that.
okay.
Anyway.
And I did have one comment aside from that. I just had a question as to what the board decided as to how parents were going to be given consent for the rhythm program.
So, Mr. Tosh, why don't we let you
I'm
take
gonna
that?
go with Meyer with that.
Myra, do you wanna?
We're still researching that issue, Mr. Baldwin, and we will address it with the board at the appropriate time, but we're taking your concerns into consideration, and we're going to provide our opinion to the board as soon as we can.
Okay, so as of right now, is the rhythm program still being used amongst the district?
It is.
It is.
It's in a small. It's
Just a
small
small
pilot
group.
group. It's a small
Yep.
sample size right now.
And have those parents have they given consent for their children to be a part of that program?
Anybody that's given consent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Committee reports, Mr. Vasquez, do you have anything this evening?
No update, only just to mention, a couple of months ago, we approved a co-op with, our wrestling program with Holy Redeemer High School, and actually our wrestling program has really, seen some good results from that with all the hard work and coaches, and we actually, had four top two finishers in our the Wyoming Valley Conference tournament and a team title. So it was a good decision for us to do that, I think. So that's it.
It's great to hear. Do you have anything on the technology?
No updates since the work session, no.
Mr. Keating, do you have anything on your committees? Contract, Finance?
Just two things. Next week, I was corresponding with our business manager. We're going to meet, and Tom, would you put an email out actually to the finance committee, our meeting with PNC regarding our debt service? They're welcome to attend. We're going to meet to once again review our debt service to see if we have any options to present as we get into our budgeting process in the spring. So Tom will put that email out. And I would just like to clarify, after our last meeting, I actually did get a lot of calls regarding the article that was in the Citizen's Voice, and the article was not written wrong. I think it was interpreted the wrong way, that we were raising taxes by 5.9%. We're not. We're required by state law. It's actually on the agenda this evening that we will not exceed the state maximum index, which is 5.9%. We have to pass that tonight if we're going to agree not to surpass the state allowable index. But we haven't even begun working on our 2023-2024 budget. And just as we did last year, we'll work really hard to do what's right for the district and for the taxpayers that support our district, but we're nowhere near making any decision on where we are in terms of financial need for the 2023-2024 school year. So I just wanted to clarify that the 5.9% is we're required to pass that by law. There's no intent of the board to tack on a 5.9% tax increase. We didn't even begin our budgeting process for the next school year. So that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Keating. Mr. Savage, you have anything this evening on education?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Tosh will explain something that we're going to do.
In short, we've met today and we've met over the course of the last month or two with our new title consultant. And we're in the infancy of revising some of the things that we do in our title program for students, going from targeted to school-wide. And again, we've done some professional development so far with our administrators, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we haven't done the professional development yet with our teachers. We'll be doing that next week. We'll have more information to follow on our title program at the next board meeting though.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Savage?
No, that'll do it. Thanks.
Mr. Hardwick, do you have anything this evening?
Briefly, special education, I don't have anything for tonight. I'm hopefully going to have a meeting and information to present for next month. With regard to ESSERS, we actually had a small meeting this morning to discuss how to prepare an informational report for the public as well as for the board. The consultant who's involved had some really good ideas, as well as Mr. Tosh and his group. So I'm looking forward to having something short, concise, but informative for next month.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick. Mr. Dickon, do you have anything this evening for the safety committee?
Well, Mr. Tosh touched upon it. We now have those 2 full-time cards established in the high school starting January 5th.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dickon. I just would like to announce next week, at some point yet to be determined, there's gonna be a buildings and grounds meeting to discuss partial ESSER and partial asset management, more at the work session to be announced. General recommended action items, items 1 through 5. And may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any questions on these items? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski.
Yes.
Mr. Damascus.
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes.
Mr. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. Savage,
Yes.
Mr. Profetto,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt. Yes. Mr. Kamis.
Yes. Staff recommended action items, be items 1 through 19. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions on these items presented?
Mr. Chair, no question, but just a quick comment. I'd like to thank Mr. Damascus, the athletic committee, and other board members who were involved. To my understanding, it was a pretty extensive interview process with several candidates, but I just wanted to say thank you to the group for the work they did.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick, and thank you to all the committee members for putting your time in and working through that process. On a roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski.
Yes.
Mr. Damascus,
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes.
Mr. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. Savage,
Yes.
Mr. Profetto,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt. Yes. Mr. Kamis.
Yes. Finance recommended action. Bills for payment. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Seconded.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski.
Yes.
Mr. Damascus,
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes.
Mr. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. Savage,
Yes.
Mr. Profetto,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt. Yes. Mr. Kamis.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Mr. Whittiak, do you have anything for us this evening?
No, I mean, I did start working on the budget and have done a kind of a first pass of what I can do at this point. It's gonna take a lot of attempts and a lot of work for the next few months before we get to where we want to be. Again, with the tax rate, it's gonna be somewhere between 0 and 5.9%, but we're haven't come close to making that decision yet.
Sound like a meteorologist now.
You gotta hedge your bets. I guess next meeting we'll probably have a recommendation for our new copier lease. Anthony prepared a lot of that information I showed you earlier tonight. So we'll have a recommendation for you at the next meeting.
Okay, and our solicitor is gonna go through that, is that correct?
Yes. And Rick, on a serious note, I'd like to thank Tom. Again, we have budget reports that he's providing us with. We have cash statements, we have breakdowns of our ESSERS programs. And these are all resources that we can use as we phase in, transition into budgeting. And Tom also provided us with, again, just, estimated revenue projections at this time of the year. And that puts us well ahead of where we were last year, heading into the spring and the end of the school fiscal year. So I'm pleased with the way things are going there.
Thank you, Mr. Whittiak.
Thank you, Mr. Whittiak, and thank you, Mr. Keating. Motion for finance manager's report and treasurer's report.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Pazinski.
Yes.
Mr. Damascus.
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes.
Mr. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. Savage,
Yes.
Mr. Profetto,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt. Yes. Mr. Kamis.
Yes. Board members' comments. Anybody?
I would just like to officially congratulate our new head football coach, Robert Stelma. Brings a wealth of knowledge and information to our program, and I know he's going to do a great job. And to all the other candidates. We really do appreciate everybody who interviewed. Was not an easy process, as said, but I feel we got the right man for the job. So congratulations, Coach Stelman.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Anyone else? Congratulations, Mr. Stumble. Our next scheduled meeting will be February 1st, 2023 at 7 PM for work session, and our regular monthly meeting will follow following Wednesday, February 8th, 2023 at 7 PM. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.